So this is my story. This is how my journey began. Doctor said, "Do you want to die?" And that was the strangest thing. He didn't ask me if I want to live. He asked me if I wanted to die. We were driving down the street on the way to Atlanta. This is one of the things that started in the beginning. And I found myself unable to hold my liquids. I had drank something sweet, of course. I didn't know that me being thirsty and tired and all of that stuff all the time was actually a sign, a warning. And that's going to be another video, just one day, just talking about that. The warning signs that led up to being diabetic. So anyway, we were trying to we had to pull over and I almost just could not make it, couldn't hold it. I ran into this McDonald's and I thought I was going to just die trying to hold it, trying to get off the expressway, get around to it. It was just the craziest thing. And that's one of the things that bugged me the most later on, is knowing that these things were symptoms. They led up to different things that got me to where I was. But another thing that happened was, like I said, you're tired, you're lethargic, you're just no energy whatsoever. And one day, this was 2013, and my grandma had passed away, and so I went down there. I was preaching the funeral and all of that, and so there was a neighbor, one of my mother's neighbors. We went down to see the neighbor and all this kind of stuff. And there's a hill in her backyard. And I couldn't walk that hill. It was like I was 100 years old. I was winded walking up this hill and just trying to run. If I tried to run, I would get winded. So these things were signs. I didn't know what it was. It was way gone. And in fact, I had lost a ton of weight. I was so skinny. All my clothes were just hanging off of me. And these were just all of these little things that were signs. And so in the beginning, there was these different signs. There were, like I said, being tired, being thirsty as all get out, having to go to the bathroom all the time, waking up multiple times in the middle of the night, not being able to sleep. And so I'm going through all of this, and I finally go to the doctor, and I get to the doctor, and they check me out, and they said, "We're pretty sure you're diabetic." They checked my blood sugar, and my blood sugar was 460. Came back later on, found out that my A1C was 14. So I had an A1C of 14, my blood sugar was 460, and the doctor said that my blood sugar had probably come down to that point because I was feeling a little bit better. So he estimates that it had been much higher at a couple points. And so in our conversation, he said some things to me that I'm going to say to you, and this is why I'm doing this, because I think that we need to look at the reality of what diabetes is and does. And not so much in a technical way, not from a medical doctor or anything like that, but just from a regular old guy and my journey with diabetes. Doctor said, "Do you want to die?" And that was the strangest thing. He didn't ask me if I want to live. He asked me if I wanted to die. And of course I don't want to die. I mean, come on, I got stuff to do. So it was just a wake-up call, that moment, him asking that question, "Do you want to die?" And he said, if you want to live, then if you don't want to die, then you got to do some things differently. And so we got into a conversation, and that right there was like the genesis, the start of saying, I'm taking control. I'm going to do this thing right. I'm going to do everything that I can to get ahead of this and get control of my life. Because the irony is this. The irony is that I wasn't eating crazy. So like when I talked to the nutritionist, she was like, "You got to cut out, like your carbs." I was like, "Okay, what are those?" And she's like, "You got to cut out your pasta." And I was like, "I don't like pasta." She said, "What?" I said, "I don't even like Italian food." Okay, I know I just lost like everybody with that, but I don't like Italian food. I just don't. And everybody has their preference, so leave me alone. So she said, "You got to cut out that." She said, "You got to stop eating so much bread." And I was like, "I don't eat a lot of bread." And so she went down this list of things that I need to cut out, cut back on the dessert. And I was like, I never really eat dessert. Only dessert I eat is cheesecake. And I eat that once or twice a year. I mean, at the holidays, I'll have some cheesecake. She's like, "Well, there's got to be a reason. What do you do?" She said, "What do you eat?" And I said, "Well, I eat a lot of fruits, and I drink a lot of fruit juice. You know, I try to be healthy. And she was like, well, tell me your day like what is your day like, you know, breakfast. Start with breakfast. I said, well, I'll get up, I'll have me like maybe a peach, maybe a plum and a peach or a couple peaches or whatever, and then I'll make my breakfast, and I'll have with my breakfast, I have, you know, a big old thing of orange juice or some type of fruit juice. And she was like, every morning. I was like, oh yeah, every morning I'm gonna have that, and then throughout the day I'm gonna have some grapes. I'm gonna eat half a bag of grapes. I mean, like, I'm going through grapes or something like that, you know, trying to keep it healthy, trying to do right. And the more she listened, it was like, yeah, you know, fruit juice. And she was like, that's your problem. I was like, what? You're eating too much fruit. And I was, what? I had no clue that fruit would be bad. And so that was my big thing. I was all into this fruit. I was all into, you know, I mean, I eat vegetables, don't get me wrong, but I love grapes. You go buy a bag of grapes and set them in front of me, and you turn around and don't pay attention. You go to another room. When you come back, it's probably not gonna be no grapes left. I mean, I will crush a bag of grapes like most people do popcorn and chips. That's me on a bag of grapes. And so after our conversation, and most people don't believe this when I say it, but I actually stopped eating fruit. I don't eat fruit anymore, and I just cut it all out. So. I think this year, this is October of 2019, and I probably can tell you that I have not had one apple. I haven't had a plum or a peach. This year, I have probably had a couple orange, like the little slice they give you when you go to Cracker Barrel. They put it on your plate. I've probably had 3 of those, and maybe 4 grapes. But since 2013, I just don't eat fruit. And fruit juice, oh God, I don't touch it. I don't drink any fruit juice at all. I do not drink it. And so, yeah, so that's what I did. That was how my journey started. And what's funny is A1C 14, blood sugar 460. My eyesight had started going bad. I do wear glasses now, but that's just because I got old. And but what happened is they fitted me for reading glasses, and I went and put them on, and I told the doctor, I'm getting off of this. So for 10 days straight, I drank no fruit juice. I threw it all in the garbage. I threw all my fruit away. I drank nothing but water. I ate everything right. I didn't eat a lot of carbs at all. And when I came back to get my glasses about 10 days later, I no longer needed my reading glasses because the sugar passed out of my system. And that taught me something. It taught me that diabetes is a disease that you have to feed. If you starve it, then it doesn't do it. It can't work as fast and it can't work as deeply. I'll get into that in another video, but that's what I learned just in that 10-day cycle of my blood sugar dropping from 460 to like 180, if I remember correctly. 180 is where it went down to, and all of a sudden, if I go put on my reading glasses now, I can't see. Because I don't need them anymore. My eyesight cleared up just by getting the sugar out of my system. And I know I was probably in a good situation, caught, fairly early, not early enough, and not everybody can do that. But my thing is to encourage you to understand that diabetes is something that you have to feed. If you starve diabetes, then diabetes has to back up. It has to stop. It can't do what it normally would do. So yeah, I went to 180, no more needing the reading glasses at least, and no more needing any glasses for the next couple years or so before I had to put on my actual glasses just because I got too old. But yeah, that was 2013. That was like the beginning. There's some other things that happened, and maybe I'll get into those in another video. But listen, if you don't take anything away from this, take this away from this video. If you don't feed diabetes, you'll starve diabetes. And if you starve diabetes, then you cut back on what what diabetes is actually doing in you. You slow it down. And that's the one thing I want you to take from this. You can take control of your life. You can take control of your situation and slow this disease down. One thing I learned from that doctor is that you're always going to have diabetes. I'm always going to be a diabetic. Like an alcoholic is always an alcoholic, and they got to be conscientious and every day force themselves, do not touch that drink, do not touch that drink. You have to do the same thing as a diabetic. You have to force yourself, think and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to eat that piece of pie. I'm not going to eat that pizza. I'm not going to eat that pasta. I'm not going to eat that bread. I'm not going to do. You got to cut that down, cut that back, take control of your life. Because if you don't, that original question that the doctor asked me, do you want to die? That's something that you got to deal with. It is a reality. Do you want to lose a limb? Do you want to die? Do you want to go blind? Do you want to not be able to function with your family and your kids and your friends? Do you not want to be able to do those types of things? Because death is not always just simply physically death, no longer on this earth, but you start to die daily, and things in your life will die. Your family life and your friends and your loved ones and all of those types of things begin to die as this disease pulls you further and further and further away from them. So I'm encouraging you, take control of your life, starve this disease so that this disease doesn't starve your life. Because I'm living with diabetes. I don't know if you caught it, but I'm living, I'm having a life, and I also have diabetes. So hit me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you got me some topics that you want to cover, some things you want to say, please let me know. I'm going to be here every day saying something, doing something, putting these out, talking to you. I'm going to try to hit this every single day, you heard? So, hey, listen, man, I'm living with diabetes. Talk to you soon.